Hi everyone, thanks for watching. I did think my throat was getting better yesterday. Dodgy again today, never mind. I've got a couple more matches for you today. I've put an update to yesterday's matches in the description of yesterday's video. I'll put a link to that in the description of this one. That worked out reasonably well. Both underdogs performed well in the end. Both started slowly. Parks recovered from losing the first set, took the second, and was a break-up in the third before the rain came. And then when they came back, she was broken back before the rain came, and then when they came back, Potapova took the third 6-4. And Navarro was 2-5 down in the first set against Paolini, recovered, actually won 11 games in a row. 6-love in the second set. Although looking at the point-by-point record for that one, in the first 5 games of that 6-love set, there was a break point in every game. So I think the difference there, I didn't trade that one. The difference just seemed to be that Paolini didn't take chances and Navarro did. So maybe that wasn't quite as one-sided as the score suggests. So have a look at the update on that video. And let's look at today's. It's going to be San Diego again. I don't see the point of picking matches that are obvious. Where's the interest? Where's the benefit of doing that? Much more interesting to have close matchups because you've got to go a little bit more deeper into the information, into the stats, to try and figure out which way we think it's going to go. So I'm going to do today Alexandrova against Ostapenko and Kenin against Kudermetova. Okay, so let's look at Alexandrova Ostapenko first. Alexandrova leads the head-to-heads 5-2. Last time they played, September last year, on a hard court. She won that in straight sets. She also won on clay. That was in Madrid, April 2022. That was 3 sets. Both Ostapenko's wins were indoors. 2019 was the last one, the other one being 2013. Okay, the win percentages on hard courts really interested last 12 months and this year. You can see they're pretty even. Very, very slight edge to Alexandrova, but nothing really in it. So before I look at the individual matches, let's look down at this section. In probably 70% of the matches that I research, this section here tells me all I need to know as to who's going to be the stronger player. Where things get a little bit more interesting and you've got to look in more detail is where this doesn't really give you the full picture. So let's have a look. We need to be on hard courts, main tour, and initially 1 year. Let's turn off the breakdown so we can just look at the percentages. So here we have Alexandrova leads service holds. She leads first serve points 1 percentages, second serve points 1 percentages. That's what she leads. She doesn't lead predicted holds, although as you can see it's pretty even, just 0.6 difference. 0.6 lead to Ostapenko. Ostapenko's ahead, return points 1, return games 1, I say predicted holds. So just looking at the 12-month stats, I would say Alexandrova's favourite and a good chance of 3 sets. So we need to look in a little bit more detail. Let's look at 3 months or 90 days. Does that look any different? Yes, it does. Service hold still better for Alexandrova, but first serve points 1 percentages favour Ostapenko. Alexandrova still leads on second serve, and Ostapenko still leads on predicted holds. So that's just shifted things slightly, not necessarily to Ostapenko, but towards Ostapenko. It's probably more even than the 12-month stats suggest. So let's have a look at individual games so we can look in more detail. Okay, at the US Open, she reached the third round. Decent win over Fernandez in the first round. Fernandez not had the best season, but her form has improved certainly since August. That was a decent win and a tricky first round, to be honest. And then lost to Vondrousova in straight sets pretty easily. She was Vondrousova 1.39 favourite. Okay, before that tournament, she reached the final in Cleveland. A little bit surprised that she lost to Sorribes Tormo, who hadn't had a good season, but all of a sudden seemed to be over her injury issues, and flew through the tournament. Beat Alexandrova in 3 sets in the final. Alexandrova, decent win. In the semis against Zhu, but she was moderate favourite, strong favourite against Wong, moderate favourite against Sasnovich. That's a good win to beat her in straight sets. And Tig, coming back from injury, she wasn't likely to put up too much opposition. So those were in August. And obviously the US Open just touched into September. Then we go back to March, when the last lot of hardcourt tournaments were there. Quarterfinals in Miami. Took Kvitova to 3. Beat Andreescu, who, shock and surprise, retired. Beat Bencic in 2. It's a good result. What else do we have? Third round at the Australian Open. Should have been a fairly easy draw for her in the first 2 rounds. Did need 3 sets against Townsend. And then a bit of a shock that she lost, certainly in straight sets, against Lynette. Lynette had a good season. Sorry, had a good tournament. I think she reached the semis that week, or that fortnight. Okay, let's have a look at Ostapenko's. Now, she had a really... I was going to say she had a good tournament at the US Open. She didn't really. Probably not a major shock that she needed 3 sets against Paolini in the first round. She shouldn't really have needed 3 sets in the second and third. And it looked like she was just struggling through each round, and then she beats the world number 1 in 3 sets in the 4th round. And then won just 2 games against Goff, obviously the eventual winner, quarter-final. Not saying Goff wouldn't have beaten her. She probably would. Ostapenko taking 2 games was almost certainly down to the lack of rest that she had between. She had quite a very late finish against Swiatek and just didn't have any energy left. And she did say this. She got quite upset about it. She was, I don't know if she was joking when she told her team that she wanted to retire. She's a bit of a brat at the best of times, but that was unfair that she didn't have time to recover, to give her best effort in that quarter-final. What else has she done? I mean, also in August, Rybakina, she took to 3 sets in Cincinnati, beat Pliskova in 3 sets, also in Cincy. And then we're back in March, 4th round in Miami. That wasn't a good loss to Trevisan. Trevisan, more of a clay player. She's starting to improve her hardcourt game. Really shouldn't have been beating Ostapenko, who had had a decent win over Haddad Maia. Don't think Maia was quite at her best that week. 3rd round in Dubai, lost to Sabalenka in 3, which is no shame. That's the new number 1. Easy wins in the other 2 matches. Australian Open quarter-final. Lost to Rybakina there. Beat Goff in the 4th round. Decent draw, to be fair. till she got to the 4th round. So they both played well. Looking at the whole picture, 12-month stats are favouring Alexandrova. The stats are more even, and that does pretty much match what we're seeing in the individual matches. I think the problem for Ostapenko is going to be, and this is probably the deciding factor, and it was definitely the deciding factor in my final decision as to what I was going to put in the trading tips email, is that I think Ostapenko is going to have a bit of a hangover from the US Open. Obviously not literally. I think mentally, emotionally, she's not going to be ready for another tournament. And I'm not sure how competitive she's going to be, or whether she's able to be competitive enough. I would have given Alexandrova the edge anyway. And I just don't think that experience with the scheduling at the US Open, she's not going to be over it. And I think that's just going to make the difference between the two. So in the market, when I looked at it this morning, Ostapenko 193. So we're pretty even. I'll probably be looking to lay Ostapenko around about 1.65. Take at least some liability out, 2.1. And it's probably worth laying the set winner. I don't think Ostapenko is going to totally roll over. I just think the US Open is going to have enough effect to give the match, or to give the opportunity to Alexandrova to take it. Okay, so that's my take on that one. The other one I want to look at is Kenin Kudermetova. Okay, let me just look at what the price is. When I went through this match earlier on, Kudermetova 176. So similar to what Marathon Bet have there. They played twice before. Last match was February this year. Kudermetova won on a hard court, straight sets. Kenin won at the Australian Open 2019, which is obviously on a hard court as well. She won that in 3. I've got Kenin on the left. Win percentage on hard courts, pretty even this year, 53% against 52. Slight edge over the last 12 months for Kudermetova. She's had some superb results last year on hard courts. She did start reasonably well early on this year. More recent results haven't been quite as good, but we'll have a look at that. Last season, Kenin lost in the first round against Van der Wey. So, just no points to defend this time around. So again, we'll do the check. Hopefully we're getting an easy check. An easy decision. Hard court, main tour. Oops. 12 months. So we've got Kudermetova leads service hold percentage, first serve points 1%, second serve points 1%, and predicted holds, although they're fairly even. So on the face of it, happy days. We've got the 4 that we wanted. She leads all those. Kudermetova to win. Now initially, when I did each day, I put on the TradeShark blog and also on Twitter predictions for each match for the tournaments, and I usually just use this section. If I haven't done the full research for the trading tips email, I will just use this section. So I put Kudermetova to win it. When I've looked in more detail, I wasn't so sure. So let's see what I saw when I looked in more detail. Actually, before I move from there, let's look at 30 days. 30 days, 3 months, 90 days. See, that's a different picture. Not many matches involved there, so bear that in mind. But service holds better for Kenin. Return points won better for her. First serve points won still better for Kudermetova. Second serve points won better for Kenin. And predicted holds better for Kenin. So you've got to take that with a pinch of salt because there's so few matches there. Much better to look through who they actually played and use that to decide. Okay, so Kenin on the left hand side at the US Open. Decent win, to be honest, over Bogdan in the first round. She was slight favourite. Kazatkina in the second round, she took her to 3 sets. Kazatkina's been in decent form most of the time. Like any of them, she can have a bad few matches together. Overall, she's been in decent form, so that's to take her to 3 sets is a decent effort for Kenin. Those are the 2 matches. We looked at the 3-month hard stats. She only had 2 matches. Basically, that was the 2 at the US Open. So then we're back in March, 3rd round in Miami. She was a strong favourite there and did win it in straight sets. Storm Hunter can be a tricky opponent on a day. She's not consistent enough, which is why she's ranked 200. Anyway, Kenin took that in straight sets. Good win there, a slight underdog against Kalininia. And lost to Andreescu, who managed to finish a match. She lost that one in straight sets. Second round in Indian Wells, 2 tiebreaks against Rybakina. No shame in that. And a good win over Sloane Stephens, straight sets. Pretty easy in the second. Lost to Kudermetova, straight sets in Doha. Kudermetova favourite in that one. What else? Semis in Hobart. Solid enough win over Zhu. Beat Kalininia. And then lost to Cocchiaretto, which is not a great result on hard courts. Did take it to 3. She was pre-match favourite. So not a lot of recent matches on hard courts for Kenin. Kudermetova lost in the first round to Pera. That was a bit of a surprise. 1.24 favourite, lost in straight sets. Previous week, lost to Sorribes Tormo, 1.44 favourite, straight sets. Did beat Podoroska in 3. Again, strong favourite. Lost to Venus Williams. Just not impressive. I mean, Venus Williams ranked outside the top 500. Picking and choosing the matches. The results haven't been good in the last 12 months. Kudermetova lost to Vondrousova in Miami. Straight sets. She was slight underdog there. She lost to Pliskova. Probably quite a rare win for Pliskova this year. And solid win over Blinkova. First round of Indian Wells. Then we're back to February. Semis. Won 1 game against Swiatek. Well done. Beat Goff in 3. Kenin in 2. That's the one that we looked at over the other side. Krejcikova in a 3rd set tiebreak. Krejcikova's been up and down this year, mainly down. Second round at the Australian Open, lost to Bolinets. I mean, really, 1.08 favourite, lost in 3 sets. So really, her best results were in January. The 2 Adelaides, semi-final in Adelaide 2, quarterfinals in Adelaide 1. See there, she pulled out of that semi-final due to play Bencic. it's possible there was some injury involved that would explain why that wasn't too bad in Doha, but generally it's been a crap season for her. Certainly compared to, if we look at 2022 semis in Tunisia, semis Tokyo, 4th round US Open, 3rd round Cincy, semis in San Jose, 4th round Miami, quarterfinals Indian Wells, just much better results last year. So recent form for Kuda's been poor. Yeah, lost to Williams, lost to Tormo. Alright, Tormo played well that week. Losing to Pera in the 1st round of the US Open. Awful result, absolutely awful result. Only 2 recent matches on hard courts for Kenin. It's a solid enough win, nothing spectacular, but beat Bogdan in 2 and then 3 sets against Kazakhina. What we can do is look at results on all surfaces, just to get an idea of general form. Kenin, 3rd round at Wimbledon as qualifier, pretty impressive, beat Goff there. Did lose to Svitolina. 3rd round in Rome on clay, beat Sabalenka. No point going too far back, so I'm looking for recent form. July's just about recent. Kudermetova, ignore the hard courts, we've looked at those already. Lost to Vondrousova. She was slight favourite in that one, lost in straight sets. Did beat Kanepi but struggled. Kanepi's certainly well below her best form. She's outside the top 100 now. Played well on the grass, to be fair. She got to the final there in Hertogenbosch. Quarterfinals in Berlin the week after, and then pulled out. So I think she's probably struggling with injury this season. So I think this is going to be really close. I think it's tough to pick a winner. The 12-month I say initially when I looked at that, I thought great, got everything, every box ticked. She's going to win it. I think she's going to struggle. I think she's not playing at her best. Her best matches, her best performances in the last 12 months were not in 2023. Kenin, not as many matches, but she played well at the US Open, taking a set from Kazakhina, who's been in decent form. I think she's got a fair chance today. They do start fairly even. What did I say? She was 176 this morning. I wouldn't be surprised to see that that's drifted a little bit since then. So I'll be looking to lay Kudermetova around about 1.5. Remove some liability, 1.9. I do think it's a good chance it's going to go to 3 sets. Definite value on Kenin on that one. So that's a bit of a waffly one, a lot to look at there. Definitely not certain as to how that's going to go. I am pretty certain there's definite value on Kenin. If Kudermetova was playing as she did in 2022 at 176, that would be value on Kudermetova. She's just not at that level at the minute. So I'll stop waffling. That's enough for these 2 matches. Hope you find them useful, and I will see you on the next video.